Hello guys, get ready to experience videos from all over the internet that's going to flip your perspective. Let's just start.
Urine was considered gold in ancient Rome. Back then, the government even imposed special taxes on the sale of urine. Sounds crazy, right? Many people made a living by collecting urine from public restrooms and private homes. Urine was used for various purposes, such as washing clothes and even cleaning teeth. Can you imagine the breath of people from that time? Workers would fill tubs with urine and stomp on the clothes to wash them. For teeth, they used urine as a mouthwash, believing it kept their teeth shiny. Both human and animal urine were used for cleaning. This practice might seem strange today, but it made sense at the time. Over time, urine decomposes and turns into ammonia, a substance commonly found in cleaning products. Urine was also perfect for softening and tanning animal hides because the high pH helped to break down organic materials. Send this video to someone who says they were born in the wrong era. Want to learn more incredible curiosities? Follow our channel and don't miss the next videos.
Yeah, right.
Many do not know that the International Monetary Fund, IMF, operates what could be called the largest organised criminal enterprise in the world.
Oh, really?
Used to destabilise countries that show signs of economic advancement and improved living standards. When African nations start to do well, the IMF, which does not like that, deploys its thugs, the CIA, to undermine these leaders. For instance, was the fall of Kwame Nkrumah merely a twist of fate or a deliberate act of the CIA? In his memoir, Nkrumah directly implicated the US, a claim supported by former CIA officer John Stockwell, who revealed the agency's ties with those who removed Nkrumah. After the coup, Ghana realigned with Western interests and welcomed the IMF and World Bank to manage its economy. Coincidence? Similarly, Muammar Gaddafi's Libya, which once boasted Africa's highest standard of living, was destroyed by the West. Gaddafi's initiatives, which could have diminished Western economic control over Africa, led to his downfall, with NATO intervention and support for rebels often cited as part of a broader strategy to maintain Western control. Like Ghana, Libya was also destroyed by the IMF, with help from NATO and the CIA. If the IMF does not destroy a country using fake debt, then it uses violence using these international criminal organizations.
You might be surprised at how much millionaire advice actually comes from the Bible. Let's dive straight into it. Here are 3 key lessons. First, Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 2 teaches us, "Divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risks might lie ahead." This is the principle of diversification. If you're relying on just one source of income, one skill, or one investment, it's time to branch out. Diversification isn't just about growing your wealth. It's about protecting it. But what if you don't have much to protect yet? That's where the second lesson comes in. Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 4 says, "Farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. Waiting for the perfect moment will leave you stuck." Whether it's starting a new business, learning a skill, or taking a leap of faith, you need to start. You won't be an expert overnight, but progress begins when you take the first step. Finally, Proverbs chapter 14 verse 23 reminds us, "All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty." It's easy to talk about goals and dreams, but without action, they remain just that, dreams. Success requires consistent effort, not just good intentions. These principles from Scripture aren't just wise, they're practical. Apply them, and you'll be building a foundation for both personal and financial growth. If you found this valuable, follow now and type Amen in the comments. God bless you.
Have you heard the Pope prophecy? No. Have you heard that?
No.
Yo, this is like the scariest because it's real. So in the Vatican, they found this book, right? And this book, it predicted every single one of the popes that became pope.
Really?
Literally every single one. Now, this guy, he said after the middle one, which happened like I want to say forgot the exact year. He said after the middle one, 422 years later, that's when the last pope will be named. That's what he said, okay?
Yeah.
Check this out. Every single pope has been named in it. Even the most recent one. What's crazy is, if you go to the Vatican, there's places where you put the pictures of the pope. They have for every single one they ever had. And they only have space for one more. So, in the book it says, once they put the face of the last pope in that place, the judgment day will come.
Here are 5 deeply sensitive subjects that you should
This is
never
creepy.
divulge in public mindlessly, because in doing so puts yourself in a very precarious position. If you're ever in a position where you have to say these in public, do so with deep caution and with the knowledge that they can and will be used against you. But always remember to keep a level of restraint, dignity, respect, and class by trying to keep them confidential, private, and silent as much as you can. Number 1 is finances, or anything remotely related or linked to money. The second you divulge that to the public, you put yourself in a position to be deeply and harshly judged by others. And not to mention, you also expose yourself to jealous, envious, and desperate people, and that is not a circle that you want. Not to mention, and I cannot stress this enough, never ever flaunt money or anything linked to it. Do not flaunt how much you have in your bank account. Oh my god, I'm a millionaire. I have a car. I bought this house. It's so expensive. Look at this Louis Vuitton bag that I bought. Let me tell you something. Money itself is tangible, meaning it can be taken away from you in an instant. Know that. Number 2 is any opinion or views that you have that is remotely controversial, especially anything political or anything that is considered subjective. You can be one opposing side to the other, or you can try to be as middle ground as you can in the subject. I advise you not. It's better to keep your mouth shut altogether, because life itself is changing, and thus politics, topics, they're always changing. But you know what's permanent? What you say. Always remember to keep thinking before you saying something, and remember, especially when it comes to social media, anything that you say can stay there forever. You might change your mind and say, oh my god, I actually changed. I don't actually believe that. But guess what? It's in there, plastered in the face of the internet forever, and you cannot take that back. That's something that you do not want. Number 3 is deeply sensitive, and I'll try to keep this as concise, short, and direct as possible. But it is what you're going through or any problems that you have in life. Personal. The only exception is if you're in a life-threatening situation, in which in that case, definitely call for aid and definitely call for help. But if you're not in a life-threatening situation and you're experiencing some deep personal problems, it's best that you keep your mouth shut and deal with that in a private matter. Words cannot express why it is so important, why you should always keep your mouth shut in the face of adversity, especially in front of those who don't want anything good for you, and those who know that you can't associate with the next 10 years. Because by telling those people what your problems are, what you're going through in a deep sense, you literally incriminate yourself, because by telling them what your problems are, they will begin to assert their judgment, their views, their perspective onto you, which will complicate your life and also change your life, not in a good way. I'll say it like this: people don't completely understand what you're going through, but in a situation where you have to expose yourself, do so with very trusting and loving people that you know. Number 4 is
Makes
pretty
sense.
obvious and simple, and that's anything that is considered private and confidential information about you. We're talking passports, driver's license, etc., etc., etc. They should be locked away for no one to see but yourself, because they're deeply personal information about you. You should not be putting them or posting them anywhere on the public internet, on the public domain. And there should be no further explanation for this. It's pretty obvious. Number 5 is very common yet deeply underrated, and that is any information about another person. This person may have told you explicitly not to tell anyone about what they're going through, any secrets they told you, or their circumstances in life, or this person may have told you that they don't care about what you say about them to other people. The truth of the matter is that doesn't matter, because you should not even be talking about other people in the first place. The reason why it is so significantly important to never divulge information about another person, especially in the nature that they explicitly told you not to say to everyone, is because you don't know what they're going through, and you never know that what you're gonna say could ruin their life. It's really simple as that. That's as deep as it can go. And not to mention as well, people crave drama, and drama is not something that you want. You want to live a classy, peaceful, and private life.
Well, Billy Graham tells a story. There was a true story of a missionary from Scotland who was in a South Pacific island. And the local tribe got very upset that he was there to talk about Jesus, and they went to murder him and his family. And they came and surrounded his house. And so him and his family got in there, and they, what can we do? We can pray. That's all we can do. This crowd, this mob is intent on killing us. And so they prayed all night, God protect us, God protect us. And the mob by dawn dissipated and nothing happened. Well, the leader of that mob later became a Christian. And that missionary talked to him and said, hey, by the way, what happened that one night when you came to kill us? And the mob was formed around our house. Why didn't you kill us? And he said, well, we couldn't do it with all those men you had guarding the house. He said, what are you talking about? I didn't have any men guarding the house. He said, no, we saw them. There were these men. They had swords that were drawn, and they surrounded your house, and we figured there's no way we can go in and attack these people in light of these guards around the house.
Wow, interesting.
They were angels, and God had sent angels to protect them. And there's stories
so
like
nice.
that. I mean, in my book, I document stories where people have experiences with angels.
Well, how do you get this intimacy with God? And as I sat there, I picked up these rocks, kind of minding my own business, throwing them in the water, thinking about this. As I'm throwing these rocks in the river, a simple question popped into my mind. Hey, Dan, can I throw rocks with you? So I kept throwing rocks. Like, where does that come from? I don't know. So I kept thinking, like, intimacy with God is like friendship with God. Like, how do you get friendship with God? Can anyone be a friend with God? Can I be a friend with God? Like, anyone's a friend with a friend? How does that work? And as I throw these rocks, thinking about it, a second time I heard this question. Hey, Dan, can I throw rocks with you? And again, I'm looking around just thinking, where is that voice coming from? So I kept throwing rocks. I'm like, okay, well, friendship with God, could it be I could be friends with God when I'm shopping? How do you become friends with God when you're doing the laundry? How do you become friends with God when you're doing normal tasks? This was very much in my mind. I didn't know how to do it. Then a third time I heard the question. Hey, Dan, can I throw rocks with you? I'm like, where is that coming from? Like, I don't think it's the devil, because he wants to throw rocks at us.
Yeah, right.
Me, unless I'm going crazy. But it can't be God. No, God's great, and he's out there, and he really only wants us to do the right thing. He really wants us to do important things.
True.
Just throwing rocks doesn't mean anything. Like, why would he care? So I kept throwing rocks. And so finally, I just kept hearing that simple question. So I finally turned out to Jesus and go, yes, Jesus, if that's you, of course you can throw rocks with me.
Okay,
but why?
what happens?
And that's when I felt Jesus look down from heaven and said this right to my heart. Because you want to. I'm like, that's it. He's like, that's it. And for the first time in my life, I discovered that Jesus likes me. I didn't like myself.
Interesting.
Why would Jesus like me? On that day, I discovered that he enjoys me. That he enjoys who I am. That what I like doing, he likes doing. Why? Because he simply likes who I am. On that day, I discovered the unconditional love of God. Man, I've struggled with that in my life. Like, okay, it's unconditional, but you better do this. Okay, it's unconditional, but you better not do that. On that day, I discovered it's actually unconditional. Like, there's actually nothing we can do in our entire life that would make God love us more than he loves us right now. When I discovered it that day, it changed my life. As I travel around the world, I meet two types of Christians. Those that are living for the Father's approval, and those that are living from the Father's approval.
Living from
so many
the Father's
Christians are just
approval.
trying to do a little bit more so that God will appreciate and love them. And then there's those that are discovering, no, we're in, he loves us, and there's nothing we have to do to make him love us more. And the more I understood the unconditional love of God, the more my life was overwhelmed. Love is the deepest motivator of the human heart. When you know you're loved, you want to love back. How do you love back? You find out what's on their heart. And so for me, the very natural overflow of discovering that God loves me was that I wanted to love what he loves, which is a world that doesn't know who he is. And that was my journey. And I began just to simply fall in love. I began simply to enjoy life with God as a friend. I began to include him in every little thing that I was doing. Why? Because I had to know. Simply because, why wouldn't I? Because he's very kind. And he just wanted to be with me. And the kindness and the love of God won my heart. And it changed my life. As it changed my life, I just wanted to serve him. I just wanted to do whatever he wanted. And with that came a life that filled with understanding and concern for people in the world that don't know who he is. And that very much became my journey.
It's deep.
In that, I graduated with a degree from business college, still wanting people in the world to know who Jesus was. And it was this one day, I was 22 years old, where I felt like God said, I want you to move to Afghanistan.
Afghanistan?
Long story short, the only way to get into Afghanistan at that point was with a degree of sorts to work in a humanitarian aid organization. There was one that had a hospital that was looking for people who had a business degree who could help with the admin of the hospital. And that was very much something I heard of and something that I felt like that could be a way to live in Afghanistan. So I began the journey of finally moving to Afghanistan. I could tell you so many stories of my life, of how I connected there in Afghanistan with God, but it really was the trip into Afghanistan that would really change my life again. So in many ways, I felt very unprepared to go run a hospital. I'd had no training in the business field. The organization that was inviting me to Afghanistan had told me that they were volunteer and that I needed to have people giving me sponsorship to come. I had one group, my church, that was willing to give me $300 a month, but they told me don't come unless you have $1,500 a month. So I didn't have the money. I didn't have the training. I was all alone. In Afghanistan at that time, the war was very, very loud. It was on the papers every day, rockets landing in the city. So I was very scared for my own safety. So all of these reasons were churning in my mind of maybe these are all reasons why I shouldn't go. Maybe reasons why I shouldn't do this. And I'll never forget what kept me going was the simple fact that when I was 16, I threw rocks with God. When I was 16, I discovered that God likes me. When I was 16, I discovered that God is for me. And as I discovered that about who God is, I can follow that kind of a God. I can take a risk. I can step out into the uncomfortable. I can step out into the unknown. Why? Because I know that He's trustworthy.
Look into the distance. This one's coming by air. In the small town of Lockford, California, Amazon is using drones to deliver packages to customers. This service is coming to the UK too.
It's fun. I never thought I'd be getting packages delivered in my backyard. So when you order it, we see it within 20 to 30 minutes. So obviously,
oh, that's so fast.
Running the store and getting the stuff.
What about the noise?
The noise it's a little loud, but it doesn't disturb me.
Mission accepted. Verify checking complete. Verify all, launching.
It's loud.
Does it work?
So now the exciting bit.
We're the first to see behind the scenes at Amazon's launch facility. Here's a parcel going out. It can't be bigger than a shoebox, nor weigh more than 5 pounds. The drone can reach customers up to 3.5 miles away. The rules are strict. Each flight is monitored, and there's a human eye keeping tabs on it too. A flying robot that knows exactly where to go.
Bro, people will do whatever. It's real, bro. And that's people that think, oh, it's African tradition. For anyone in Ifa, they know the fruit, bro. When you get deep into that, it ain't comfortable because you got to do certain things that you wouldn't do. But then they try to, it's like they try to say everything you've learned is false. This is actually the real. This you've been conditioned, but this is what your ancestors did. This is what they stole from us, the power. And then when you're doing these rituals and then you see power. So let's say you're in the dope game, and someone owes you money.
Yes. And
because you guys are always obviously in the demonic already, they have a whole bunch of open doors. They're selling drugs. Like you're not saved and sanctified and filled with the Spirit of God, walking it out. You're not protected under God's protection when you're living for the devil. So like you're not abiding in the secret place. So when you do that ritual and then you send it out, and then all of a sudden they get killed, and then you're like, wow. And then the Buddha priest like, I told you that spirit protects you, and now because of rejection, because of oppression,
my gosh.
Oh, the spirit loves me. The spirit loves me. Oh, and then now you're bowing down or putting coconuts in corners and, bro, sacrificing chickens.
This doesn't sound good.
Because now the revelation is.
And you're always paying. Nothing is for free when it comes to the devil, man.
God will open themselves up to false deities, to mediums. There is, if you can reconcile that there is rejection in you, that there is abuse in you, abandonment, any of that, it draws you. Everybody that I've heard that has turned to witchcraft, that has turned to something, there is something broken in them that they're trying to solve. You will never go there.
Makes sense.
Not even just in money, just like if God has you satisfied in Him, you will never seek it out anywhere else. You don't need it.
Rabbis have always said that there are hidden codes in the Torah. They didn't have computers. They tried to figure it out by hand. It said by candlelight, and it said that they went crazy trying to do this. So when computers came into vogue in the 90s, those same rabbis said, well, let's do this on a computer. So the idea, this is gematria. Every letter of every ancient alphabet has always had a mysterious number associated with it. We don't know where they came from. They never change, always consistent. So they took the Torah and converted the letters into their equivalent numeric representations and loaded that into the computers as an array. Okay. And then you can tell the computers, beginning with a certain letter, you can do what's called a skip code. you can say if a skip code is 10, you start with a letter, and then you go 10, and then 10 letters down, and then that's the next code, and then 10 letters down, and that's the next. And what you find is an entire word. So, for example, in the book of Genesis, the first T that you find, and I believe it's a skip code of 10, is O, skip code of 10 R, skip code 10 H, and it actually says Torah. And they said, okay, well, what else is in there? So that's what makes you crazy doing it by hand. For example, the Twin Towers. Yeah. Was in there. And it said that the planes within the Twin Towers, everything. If we are living in a virtual simulation, it makes sense that we would have a map of all the potentials within our simulation until the end of the cycle. And that's what is believed that the Torah codes were given to the people of the earth 3,000 years ago as a map of potentials. When we make a choice, these are what you can expect as the outcome until the end, not the end of the world, but the end of time. The end of time is the end of the cycle. And the code says that we are living the end of that cycle. And
you go to the gym, you're going in there for the best fucking case scenario to come out with the fucking V taper and the 6-pack abs. Like when you go on vacation, you're going to the best restaurants, the best locations, the best everything. So now when it comes to the people around us and the women that you want to be with forever, better fucking believe that I'm looking for the best case scenario, and I will not settle until I get the best case scenario.
Best prank ever. God, how everybody's trying to look. They can't even pass by without not laughing or anything. This is crazy. Oh. Bastard. Oh.
So, I don't have legs. This is my legs.
What the f?
Do you need me to show you again?
Yeah, what the f?
I'm a bilateral above knee amputee.
And you're just down telling me after 3 months?
I'm really sorry. I didn't want you to think of me differently.
Think of you differently? You practically lied about everything that we talked about.
I didn't lie about anything. What do you think I lied about?
I'm supposed to go out there and hike with you?
No. I still do all of that. I'm actually the only woman in the world in recorded history to make it to, like, Uruhu Peak, which is the summit of Kilimanjaro. I crawl.
You crawled up Kilimanjaro?
Yeah.
I know people that are 6 feet tall that don't even leave their fucking house, and you climbed the whole mountain. You have 7 world records? Why would I be mad about that? That's the fucking coolest thing in the world.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're not upset. I was so scared. Will you forgive me?
I don't know. We might have to race.
It is on.
Can you drive still?
I can drive. I have hand controls here in my vehicle. Pull this back to accelerate, press forward to brake.
That is cool as shit.
Heck yeah, and I even got a lift in the back that can lift like half an elk. Are you really 6 foot?
I do have a really small butt. You're gonna see it in Colorado when we go hiking and I beat your ass to the mountain.
I'm excited to see you.
Yeah, I could put you in the backpack loop.
The Lost Gospel of Thomas, it literally says, when these two become one, when thought and emotion become one, then you'll say to the mountain, move, and the mountain will move. And I used to think that that was a metaphor. I was in the monasteries in Tibet, and I asked him a question. He's the new young abbot. He's already in his mid-80s. And I asked him a question, and I said, what is the force in your tradition, in your belief system? What is the force that connects the universe? What's the force that holds everything together? And through the translator, he answered me with one word, and I thought I heard it incorrectly. I said, would you do that again? And he came back and he answered me with one word, and he said, compassion. And I said, well, wait a minute. I says,
Compassion?
a force that holds everything together, or is it a feeling that we experience in our bodies? And he said, yes. And that was very powerful for me to understand that, because it says that we have the ability to feel in our bodies the stuff that holds this universe together. And we're really not so different from those quantum particles in the stars beyond us, or in the tumor that's in front of us, in the suffering of our loved ones, or in the peace between the nations. It's all part of the same thing.
In the last Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, "Whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not experience death. This ebook will unveil that for you, and ye shall know the truth, and truth shall set you free." Check the link in our bio.
What was the weirdest thing that has ever happened to you that made you believe that God was real? This video has 1.7 million likes. Let's watch.
God is real, because he teleported an angel into a gas station bathroom to save my life. When I was 20 years old, I was living in Florida with my boyfriend, now husband, and I was driving home to Missouri for Christmas. My path took me through Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and onwards. And when I stopped at a gas station in Alabama, I went in to use the bathroom. The women's door was red, it was big, it was squeaky, it was wooden, it was heavy. And I distinctly remember pushing open this bathroom door, walking in thinking, geez, that's kind of an aggressive door. There were 3 stalls in this bathroom. I check all of them because I always go for the cleanest one. I sit down to do my business, and the faucet turns on. Nobody opened that door. That door did not open. This person appeared in this bathroom. So I did what any sane person would do, and I shoved my head under the stall door to peek out and see what the heck was going on. And what I saw were a pair of grandma orthopedic shoes, you know, the grayish, tannish, all one color shoes. I sit up and finish what I'm doing, and I go out there. And there's a beautiful mixed race woman. She's a grandma. She has beautiful caramel skin. And she has the brightest, most piercing green eyes I've ever seen in my entire life. And she says to me, "Young lady, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home to Missouri to see my family for Christmas." And I said, "How about you?" She's like, "I'm going to go see my grandbabies. Go see my grandbabies up in Montgomery." We chatted a minute. I said goodbye because at this point I'm still freaking out. And she says, "Young lady, I need you to hear me. I need you to listen. If you hear anything wrong with your car, you need to pull over immediately. Do you hear me?" I said, "Yeah, okay." She's like, "No, I need you to hear me. If you hear anything go wrong with your car, you need to stop and pull over. Do you understand?" I said, "I understand." I backed out through the door, and I swear to God, I stood there, and that door swung back in, and she was gone. And I stood there for 2 minutes just staring at that door, thinking, what just happened? So I get in my little Ford red ZX2 two-door sport coupe. I get on the road. I do not keep my phone on me. Everything is silent. I drive for 2 or 3 hours like this, and I'm about to, like, well, this might be crazy. And then I hear tink, tink, tink. The slightest tink I've ever heard in my life. And had I had a radio on, I would have never heard it. And as soon as I heard it, I found the next exit. I pulled off. It was a Casey's gas station in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. And as soon as I put my car in park, everything started happening with my engine. Tinks, booms, bangs, smoke came out.
What?
Come to find out, my timing belt had completely fallen apart. The chain broke. The mechanic later said he'd never seen anything like this. And had that happened when I was driving, I would have lost all power steering. I would crash and probably died. So is God real? Heck yes, he's real. Angels are real.
So in our Gullah Geechee community, you have dreams, you got to pay attention to the dream. And so we grew up thinking things like, if Nana dreamed of a fish, she would come in the house and say, "I dreamed of fish last night, and somebody's pregnant." And everybody would say, "Not me, not me." But guess what? Somebody there was pregnant. If you dream of a naked man in a dream, it is the opposite. It's bad. That's a death. But it's the death of the opposite sex. So if you dream of a man...
But when you dream about some things like this, you have to really pray.
Opposite transference. If you dream of a snake and in the dream you don't kill the snake, then that means be aware that you have an enemy. Watch yourself. They'll say, "Did you kill it?" And you say, "Yes." Oh, well, then you don't have to worry. They're still your enemy, but they can't harm you. So there are dreams, all kinds of dreams, interpretation. And trust me, I have seen them all come true. Now, I have dreams. And I have run away from my interpretations in terms of telling people because I don't want to. But I can't anymore. So I have dreams. And the dreams that I have are dreams that, again, affect large numbers of people. So, I don't want them to put me on a straitjacket, but I have dreams of catastrophe. So, when the 911 thing happened, I dreamed it before. I just didn't slow down to interpret it. I saw a plane go into a building. Can't tell that to people, they'll put you under arrest. I dreamed of the assassination of Anwar Sadat. I saw it in advance. And so when that happens, what I do is immediately stop praying. Just pray right where we are so that we can maybe reverse it from happening. But yes, in the Gullah community, they are very serious spiritually about dreams and interpretation of dreams. Numbers, oh my goodness, we dream numbers. Numbers are interpreted into numerology. So just moving in the spirit with animals, with numbers, energies, I mean.
So we've come to the end of the video. This was interesting, this was insightful, this was informative. I learned a lot. I hope you did too as well. Which video should we do next? And also don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any video that I post, you will be the first to get it. I have to say something. My speaker just went off right after the video ended, so I mean, I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, but then yeah, I mean, all the glory belongs to God, and we've come to the end of the video. Adios amigos, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.